Hello everybody, David Essery here. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you're having the most beautiful day. I wanted to put out a video today to talk about the power of discernment. Now, discernment is one of those things, really it is the most fundamental spiritual tool that we have available to us. And of course, one of the most fundamental lessons that we kind of have to learn, one of the things that we have to develop throughout our process. So what I mean by discernment at a very basic level is just basically using your tuition to know what is right and what's wrong. Whether that's for you, whether for a situation in your life, or anything really. It's just about knowing what feels right and basically following your own guidance. Now the biggest challenge though to discernment is usually actually our own emotions. So, if we want to believe something's right, or if we want to do something, then separating those emotions from our discernment could be tricky, because if we want to do it, we'll feel like it's the best thing to do, even if our intuition might perhaps be saying, no, this isn't right. And on the opposite side, quite often there's something that would be the best thing for us, especially for our kind of overall soul growth, but we don't want to do it. So those emotions kind of drive us away from doing it. This is particularly classic with initiations and stuff like that, where we kind of have to step up and do something that we don't want to do, but it's really important that we do that, really, just for our overall soul growth. So it can be a really, really tricky subject. And the truth is, I don't think there's really one size fits all kind of method for doing this, because I think we're all a little bit different. For starters, we've all got kind of different spiritual gifts and talents. Some of us see things with our eyes, some of us hear with our ears, some of us feel things. All the different types of clairvoyance, clairaudience, all of these things. I'm going to do a video to talk about that a bit more soon, actually. So I think it's an interesting subject. But the way that we perceive energy, which is essentially what that is, can affect the way that our discernment works. So I can't really sit here today and just suggest that perhaps you try this or you try that. Well, actually, no, I can do. I do. I suggest you try all these different things. But I can't say what's going to work for you. I think it's important, really, that we experiment with these things and work with them and see what works for us. And this is something that we can do, every single day in our lives. Make choices as to what's the best thing for us. Whatever's going on in your life, you can just ask yourself, should I do this? Shouldn't I do that? A classic thing I always think of when I think about discernment is, those of you who've been following me for a while, you'll very much know that I'm into the 5D chakra system and stuff like that, the 15 chakras. And if I hear someone talking about using the three-dimensional chakra systems, if someone tries to say to me, for instance, that my base chakra is red, I can't go there. Instantly, my whole body just starts screaming at me and saying that that's not right for me. And that is my discernment. That's one of the ways that I feel this, whether something's right or wrong. And there's a combination of ways that I feel that. I feel that quite physically in my base. I feel that in my gut. And I feel that in my heart. And if I don't get such a strong physical reaction, the heart is such a powerful tool for helping you do this. If you really just take a moment and get yourself into that kind of nice, calm, meditative state, start off with your breathing exercises, get yourselves nice and relaxed, maybe call in the violet flame, call in the Christ light, raise your frequency, drop any of the density away, because, we are always being bombarded by tons of different energies around us, even if that's just all of the people that are currently sat in your spiritual field, which could be, 20 miles around you at the moment. That's a lot of energy to be within. And for our spiritual gifts and talents to be working at that absolute highest, we kind of need to purify ourselves. So that's always a good place to start, is just take a moment and clear your chakras, clear your body and fields, call in the Christ light or something to raise up your vibration. That will allow you a much clearer connection. And then just really kind of think about this. Bring your attention down to your heart chakra, so that you're coming out of here and you're into here. And then just think about that subject. Just focus on it. And ask yourself some questions, perhaps. For me, what actually works for me, and it took me probably a few years to really kind of get used to this, but the thing that works for me is I ask myself yes and no questions. Lots of people use dowsing as an excellent tool for kind of helping them with discernment. But you can kind of just do that yourself by asking you yes, no questions. If I ask something in my head, I will know, it will tell me yes or no, and that's what I go with. Of course, the biggest challenge to that is learning to trust yourself. I think it's kind of important that you only do these things once and then you go with what it says, because if you ask yourself a second time, you've already created doubt, right? Because if you trusted your first answer, you wouldn't have needed to answer a second question. And doubt very, very quickly clouds the mind. So it's really important to kind of trust yourself in the answer that you get. But yeah, that's something that I found really effective for me. Whether you can just do that whilst you're doing the washing up or whatever, and just ask yourself a question, you'll get a yes no answer, or maybe you need to do the work to clear your vibration, get into that meditative state, and then ask yourself the question, you'll know the answer. But as with actually kind of most things in spirituality, it really is like a case of you do things more, you get better at it. It's like a muscle. I've used an analogy of spirituality like going to the gym before on a couple of occasions, because it really is like that. If you want to kind of develop those spiritual gifts and talents, you have to use them. And the more you use them, the stronger they will get. And if you've got a good foundation in discernment, you're in a really, really strong place. You can make choices kind of from within your life from a highest perspective. I think a critical thing is using that discernment in the information that you receive. So perhaps if you're meditating, if someone starts communicating with you in some way, use that discernment, take that into your heart and say, is this right? Is this actually coming from where they say it's coming from? We all like to believe that the beings that we're connecting with are who they say they are, and the work that they are doing is positive work. But the reality is that's not always the case. In fact, I can share a story from my own personal journey where a number of years ago now, I became aware of a being, a very well-known one, connecting with me, and he said that he needed to use my light to assist in some planetary work that was happening. And I didn't use my discernment, and I accepted that as truth because I thought it was who they said that they were, and basically gave my consent for it to happen. And the reality was it wasn't what it said it was, and my energy was just being drawn away. And after sort of 36 hours or something of feeling like I was dying, I was like, hang on a minute, something's not right here. In fact, I think actually my wife Leanne was like, that ain't right. My wife, she's like the lady of truth and justice, she always knows her discernment is off the charts, and she knew that it wasn't right. And I tuned in and connected with the person that I thought this person was, and yeah, absolutely, I got duped there, and it really had a massive effect on me. So that's a mistake that I made. I put my hands in the air. Now I'll happily admit that I've made mistakes along the path, and it takes time and it takes practice, but it just goes to show the importance of using that discernment in all areas of your life, really. It doesn't matter how long you've been on this path. I hear stories about people that have been doing this their whole life, and perhaps because they want to believe something is true. They accept it without taking the time to take a step back and checking in, and it leads them down the wrong path. We all do it. We're all human beings. We all make mistakes, and we're all perfectly imperfect, and that's what makes us as amazing as we are. But that's why it's so important, and it's not a lesson to forget. And I say this honestly as well. If you're like tuning in and you're listening to me here, and you're hearing what I'm saying, and you're going, you know what, that doesn't feel right to me. I like to do it in this way, or I don't really care, I'm just going to trust everything. That's your truth, and you have the right to that discernment. You don't have to believe everything that I say. What I talk about on my channel here, I only ever really talk about stuff from my personal experience. I don't like to talk about anything that I don't know about, and I'm willing to admit that I don't know everything. God no. So, and that's my experience with things, that's my truth that I'm speaking here today, but that doesn't mean that it's your truth, and that's okay, That's okay. In fact, that's a good thing, because it needs to be what resonates with you. And I'm sure I've said this before in another video, but I always implore people to kind of really just check in and see what feels right to you. This isn't like a religion where there's a book that says this is the way it is, you must follow everything within this book. You might be following 10, 20 people on Facebook or YouTube, and actually you don't resonate with absolutely everything that every one of them says, but one person says this, that resonates, you take that. One person says that, you take that, and you build your own kind of reality, your own perception, your own world of what feels right to you, and that's just perfect, because we're all unique. We're all made up of billion different scenarios, that come together to form us into who we are, whether that's in this life or past lives. And that's, again, part of the beauty of us, our individuality. And your discernment is the tool that kind of allows you to do that, to see into these different situations, to see into what different people are saying, and see what feels right for you. And I don't think that, there doesn't have to be any judgment with that as well, I think it's easy to look at someone and go, oh no, I don't agree with that, I'm never going to watch another video from them ever again, because the reality is that most of the time they probably are going to be speaking about things that are resonating with you. It's just about making choices about what you do and don't accept. And that's why again, I think it's important to have this discernment in everything you do, no matter who it is that's saying something. I think in certain situations we are more naturally in a discerning state. So if you turn on the news, for instance, most of us will probably be in a very discerning state, checking in and going, no, that doesn't feel right to me, that's not what they say it is, and things like that. But in other scenarios, again, if you're listening to me, you may be in a more open, receptive state to believe the things that I'm saying or anyone else is saying. But I still I encourage people to have that discernment and just see what feels right to you, when in particular when you are adding your energy to something. That is a kind of a key part of it. When you are adding your energy to a situation, whether that's kind of through a meditation, you're putting your energy in it, whether that's through like a financial commitment, whatever it is, if you're adding a energy to a situation, it's important to be kind of aware of where you're putting that, and that's what your discernment's there for. So yeah, I've rambled on a little bit. I'm doing that a lot at the moment, but that's just kind of the way this works. Stuff just kind of starts coming to me as I talk. So yeah, use your discernment. What I've said to you today might mean nothing to you whatsoever, and if so, that's great, you know. And just tune into things and practice, as I said earlier, practice, you know. Try different techniques. Try bringing it into your heart, perhaps into your third eye. Try perhaps, You know, you could practice listening to things. You could try and listen to something that you know isn't true, listen to something that you know is true, and really kind of take each one of those into your heart and see if you feel a physical reaction within your body, or an energetic reaction, of course, within your body anywhere. Just practice with different things and find what works for you, because we're all different. All of our spiritual gifts and talents work in different ways, and it's really important to find what works for you. And I think if you can get that discernment down, and as I say, it's not infallible, you know, we all make mistakes, and no judgment if you do, all right? You know, mistakes are good because we learn from them. And the whole point of being here is to learn. So don't ever worry about that, okay? But yeah, just see what feels right. The power of discernment. I hope that's of some use to you today. And I can't wait to see you again soon. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you have the most beautiful day filled with all the love and joy that you deserve. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Send lots of love. Bye-bye.